we're beginning of week 2, and we're really getting into like buyers, basically, this week. So I know that Renee is gonna teach her buyer consultation. Today's class, we're gonna talk about how to actually get a consultation set. So, the first thing that we'll kind of talk about is what has to happen to make the appointment happen. And so there are several ways or several places a buyer lead can come from, and we're gonna kind of work through each of those things, each of those types, to get yourself into a possible buyer consultation. So the first type of buyer that you might get would be somebody from your personal sphere of influence, right? Somebody you already know, right? That's kind of the first category. The second category would be somebody who's a referral from somebody you know, but you don't know them yet. The third is going to be a complete stranger, right? That you have no association with, that you're going to come in contact with either through like an open house, or maybe you've placed a Facebook ad, or you're doing some kind of marketing that produces a lead, and you're trying to basically cultivate somebody from totally cold, never met them, into an actual consultation, right? But the end goal remains the same. No matter where they come from or who they are, the goal is to get a buyer consultation, also known as a buyer strategy session. We call them buyer strategy session because it helps drive home the point that there's a specific reason of why we're getting together. So you can, pre-qual to me means you're trying to qualify them, but really what you're doing is you're trying to earn enough trust to get them into the office, right? That's really what it is, right? And so you're not wrong in saying pre-qual, but that, to me, when you say you're pre-qualifying, it's like they've got to measure up to you, but the reality is you've got to measure up to them, right? You have to prove your worth. You've got to earn the right to get them into the office for a consultation. And I word it that way specifically on purpose because until you've earned the right to set the appointment, it's going to feel inappropriate to ask for the appointment. Until you've earned the right to set the appointment, it's going to feel inappropriate to ask for the appointment. So no matter who you're talking to, I'm going to have you change your I want you to imagine a silo, a farm silo, right? Does everybody know what a farm silo is?
Yep.
Imagine
Storage.
3 of them right next to each other. In order to have the appointment, in order to earn the appointment, you have to fill the majority of the 3 silos. Silo 1 is personal information about the person you're speaking with, which is really the why. Why does this person want to buy a home? Because remember, we're talking strictly about buyers here. Why do they want to buy a home? It's largely personal information. The second silo is actual information about the home that they might purchase, right? Statistical information per se, or characteristics about the property.
That they're seeking, that they're
Yep,
interested.
that they're seeking. That is, yep. And then the last silo of information is why would they hire you? Why would you give the selection? And so you have to show them, right? But you can't barf on them. You have to show them with your professionalism why they would come in for a consultation. Now, a lot of the information that you're gonna cover in the actual consultation, you're also gonna get the beginnings of in the actual phone call. Now, here's the difference between those things. There's a high probability that you're gonna be on the phone with one person, and most of the clients you're gonna serve are probably married or have a significant other. And so you're gonna be building a relationship with one of them on the phone, gearing up for the consultation. But you'll have virtually no relationship with their partner prior to the actual consultation. So when you actually get them into the office for a consultation, you're obviously gonna continue in relationship building with the person you've already spoken with, but you're going to then spend more time visiting with their partner so that you can solidify a relationship with both of them. Easiest way for me to show it is just to have conversation. Kevin, I'm gonna treat you as though you're a past client I've worked with before.
Okay.
In the course of this conversation, I want you to tell me that you're going through some kind of a life-changing experience that's going to cause you to need to buy a new home.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Okay.
Ring, 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 ring.
Hello.
Kevin, it's Brock Fletcher. How are you?
Hey, Brock. Good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. It's been a while since we spoke. What have you been up to?
Well, I've been going through a lot. Recently, my dad had passed away, and now I'm taking care of my mother. My wife and I both are digging in and trying to help her out. She's in her late 70s, early 80s in that area, and she's needing to be tended to. She has some health issues, and so we're having to sell our home, and then also we're going to have to be getting into another home so we can look after her needs. That's
Okay.
kind of where we're at now.
So are you gonna move in with your mother, or are you just trying to move close to her?
No, we're going to have her move in with us.
She's gonna move in
Yes,
with
sir.
you? Okay. So, is your current home not big enough then for her to live with you?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. It's not I mean, it could be if we did a lot of remodeling, but my wife also wants to upgrade, get into something different. We have also grandkids coming along, and they'll be here. You know, my younger kids are looking at having children, so grandkids will be coming along.
Okay.
But in the meantime, we got to take care of her, and so we want to upgrade to a bigger home so we can take care of my mother's needs, but also look forward to having grandkids over too as well.
Okay. I'm gonna pause that conversation for a moment.
Yep.
So, because of the way that Kevin answered that question, you can probably feel we're going to naturally start talking about what kind of home is gonna be necessary to fit that need, right? It feels natural because it is a natural progression right at this point. The way that Kevin answered my initial question of what's going on with you, he immediately jumped into that. In this particular scenario, he's got one major issue that is filling almost all of silo one. So silo one is the motivation side, right? It's the personal thing that's causing the move to happen. And because I know you from your past client, we already started that by saying that I know a lot about you already. And so I've got that silo kind of, it's already kind of full, right? So I can spend a lot of time in silo two in regards to what are the characteristics of the property, almost setting up like a search, getting the criteria to actually set up a search. Now, I'm gonna pause there for a moment. I'm gonna go into a different scenario. I'm gonna use you this time, Debbie.
Mm-hmm.
let's say you're a past client, and we're gonna have more of a normal sounding conversation, where I actually have to ask you if you're going through any life-changing experiences that may cause a move in 2025, okay? So ring, 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 ring.
Hello.
Debbie, it's Brock Fletcher, how are you?
Hi, Brad. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. It's been a few months since we last spoke.
Mhm.
What's been going on with you? Now, don't give me anything about real estate, right? I just want you to just say some things that are unrealistic, unreal. I don't want you to make it too easy on me. Unrealistic,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So just whatever you would say to a good friend,
Okay.
right, because we're a past client.
Right. Well, right now we are, actually I have to say, my, mother moved in with us,
Awesome.
and we also, one of my daughters is moving back to the area, so she lives with us too, so we're kind of the launch pad for that.
Okay.
To get, back into the area.
Well, that can be exciting to have family live with you. It can also be stressful. How are you feeling?
It's a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So, yeah, we were at the point where we wanted to downsize, because of our own, aging and health and things like that. We don't need a big property.
Sure. But now, because they're here, maybe you won't be able to download.
Might postpone it a bit,
Yeah.
right?
I can definitely see, I can definitely see how that would be an issue. How long do you think they're gonna be living with you?
Daughter, probably not too much longer.
Okay.
She just, it's kind of a springboard for her.
Yeah.
With my mother, we aren't quite sure. My sister is helping now with the care, and she lives in Indiana, so we're kind of sharing that, so we might be able to still do that.
Yeah.
And just have a little, something for mom to stay.
Yeah. Is your mom in pretty good health yet?
She's declining a little bit, but yeah, she can still get out and about when she needs to.
Yeah, that's great. How old is your mom, if you don't mind me asking?
82.
82, okay. So potentially could live a long, healthy life yet. That's really great.
Yeah, she could.
Yeah. Now, I'm gonna pause there for a minute.
Yeah.
I'm really not talking about real estate here
Right.
at all, right? You brought up a topic. I'm simply asking more questions about the topic,
Right.
right? This is just like good human being 101.
Yeah.
Right? I'm gonna take an active interest in whatever the person says, right? Because my motivation, first and foremost, is simply to be in a relationship, right? I don't even know that there's gonna be anything to come out of real estate in this call. This is just a regular lead generation phone call for me, right? Most of my lead generation activities are spent calling people that are in my sphere of influence or past clients, and I use I don't wanna say it's overly methodical, but I do use the alphabet method, meaning I call 2 letters of the alphabet every week.
4 times a year.
Yeah.
I just keep it, cause I'm finding ways to connect with my inner sphere, and I don't wanna be salesy, I don't wanna talk about real estate, I'm trying to get rules of thumb to reach out and connect, and like you said, just nothing but how you do, be there to care.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, excellent.
Yeah, now go ahead.
So the alphabet method, so that is that the W, what is it?
Yeah.
D2, so
Yes.
it's the same?
Yeah, it's just, I just use the 2 letters they recommend each week.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, right
So-
out of the doing the database.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
DT, whatever, the class that Steve Schluter teaches.
So what percentage, I'm sorry, Brock, but what percentage of the alphabet method do you like, just have a regular conversation? All of them?
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah, I mean, I always have a goal. Like, I always have something going on that I know I'm gonna share with them about real estate. So I just know eventually I'll get to that. So we're engaged in conversation. you're telling me about what's going on with your family. That conversation alerts me to the fact that that's a significant thing, right? A life event where your daughter and your mother now live with you is a big thing. Is that really happening, by the way?
It actually is.
Okay, well, bless your heart. And if you need anything, let me know, because that's tough.
Yeah,
Right,
thank you.
that's real tough.
I've
I'm
been
not-
there.
I'm not gonna be coming back and saying, got any fun vacations planned? Right, like, this is where it's just imperative that we, like, as much as a script, a real estate script is to help keep you on track. It is not actually meant to be followed verbatim.
Right.
Right, it can in certain situations, but in the reason that we master scripts is so that we always have all the answers. Right, so what I don't want you to hear here is, don't use scripts. I use scripts all the time. But I have done my scripts so many times, I can be in any conversation and be fine, right? I mean, this isn't a braggy thing. You will not catch me off guard, right? Because I'm listening. First and foremost, I'm listening to what people are saying. So, okay, I'm sorry, your daughter's name again?
Olivia.
Olivia, you're Olivia. So now, this is how you talk with somebody you've never met. Okay? Ring, 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 ring. Olivia, this is Fletcher from Keller. How are you?
I'm great, how are you?
I'm doing good. Your mom, Debbie, gave me your number. I'm not sure if you were expecting my call.
No.
Okay. So, your mom let me know that you've recently come back to the area, and that you're currently staying with her, and that you're likely in a few months gonna move to an apartment, but eventually you do wanna own a home, is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome. I am your mom's favorite real estate agent. And I had offered to visit with you and just kind of help you build a plan that will actually allow you to get to that American dream of home ownership. Whenever the time's right is irrelevant to me, but I want to start the conversation with you. So if you don't mind, fill me in on your current situation.
Well, I thought I would live with mom for a couple months, get enough to move out on my own into an apartment, and go from there.
Awesome, that's great. What part of town do you want to live in, do you think? You know, for an apartment?
Probably close to the capital.
That's awesome. Do you work downtown or?
Yes.
You do, okay. Where do you work at?
I work in the whatever, Secretary of State.
Okay. That seems like it could be a stressful job. How do you like it?
I actually like it.
Okay. What do you do there?
Oh, just, accounting.
Okay. Now, are you, do you have like a specialty in accounting or anything like that? Or what's your specialty, I guess?
Actually, my specialty is sales, but
Okay.
I'm just so happy that this was a good fit for me at the time.
That's awesome. Now, is that the reason for the move back to the area? Was this job opportunity or what was the reason to come back to the area?
No, what was my reason? I can't remember. I just,
There you go.
yeah, it was a breakup. I
Oh,
was
no.
just wanted to start over.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. That is really tough. A breakup is tough. So obviously I can, without making you come up with a specific
I know,
story.
I'm such
But
a
these things can
bad
get
liar.
pretty elaborate,
I know.
right?
Yeah.
Give a pointer here. The key to becoming really great at setting appointments is practicing a lot. And one of the things that I learned when I started taking classes about lead generation and such is you want your role play. So these are role play conversations, right? My wife always makes fun of me like it's some kind of a sexual joke. When I say role play, she's like, can't you call it something else? It's their role play conversations, right? And Gary Keller talks about how to be awesome at lead generation requires 10,000 hours of lead generation and lead generation role playing, right? So when you are practicing, you want to create as real life scenarios as you possibly can, right? And so, you wanna practice often, you wanna practice every day. Right? Olivia, this is after a few more questions. I think the best thing for us to do is to sit down and map out what you want the next 5 years of your life to look like, so that I can understand exactly what you're trying to get accomplished and help you build a realistic financial plan for that to be a reality. So, now, I am passionate about financial well-being. I am well-versed in, the areas of, not even specifically lenders and their products. I actually don't know that much about some of the products. I'm just like anybody else. They get new products coming out in. What I'm good at is telling people how to be good with money, right? And living beneath your means and becoming debt-free. And because I once, was in quite a bit of trouble financially, I know how that feels, I know what that looks like, I know how sucky it is, and I know how freeing it is when you solve those problems, right? So, am I a certified financial planner? No. Am I very good with saving money and living debt-free now? And do I have a lot of good information about it? Yes, I do, right? Yes, I do. And so as real estate agents, Gary Keller is very specific in that we should be our client's economist of choice,
Ooh, I like that one.
right?
It's good stuff.
So you gotta know about money, right? You gotta know about money, you gotta know about the numbers of real estate. So if that's something you don't feel sharp on, then you need to get in, your homework is start learning, right? Go buy Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover, read it, right? Buy Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. Learn about finances, learn about money. Go buy the book from J.L. Collins, A Simple Plan to Wealth. I think that's the name of it. It's a great book. J.L. Collins wrote this book for his daughter, so that she could retire financially free one day. It's very simple.
What's it called again?
Simple Plan to Wealth by J.L. Collins.
Writing it down here.
Yeah. So learn about money, right, so that you can have high-level economic conversations.
What was that one, Dave Ramsey?
Total Money Makeover, right? That's good for people if they've gotten themselves, most people have gotten themselves in financial trouble at some point or another, right? And then it's what happens after that, right? So one time I had, I was about 15,000 in credit card debt in my late 20s when I got divorced from my first wife. And that took a lot of work to get out of that hole. And when I worked with my grandpa in surveying, he told me, he said, it's really hard to be good with money when you don't have any of it, right? So I learned a couple things. You really, if you don't have it, don't spend it, right? Which means you gotta be disciplined. And you gotta go get a job that pays good money, right? So that's life, right? You gotta figure out how to make money and then figure out how to live below your means. We wrapped up that scenario. So you were a referral from a client, past client. We set an appointment. So let's pretend that you have gotten excited about Command, let's say, and you have started to do some Facebook ads, which I do Facebook ads. And let's pretend we've got a totally cold lead that clicked on an ad on Facebook. Okay? The first thing I'm gonna share is that kind of a lead, it will most likely take 14 attempts to connect before you will actually connect. So it's going to be a series of voicemails and text messages, and if you got an email addresses to actually get that connection. And ideally, and I'm not perfect at this, I've made every mistake you can make with leads, because it's really difficult when you're generating a lot of leads to call them enough to make something happen. So forgive yourself, if you can answer this question and know that you're doing your best. So if every day you are dedicating 2 to 3 hours of lead generation activities to your real estate career, and you are doing it every day, right? And you've committed and you're doing it, then it's easy to forgive yourself when you fall short from time to time on following up with leads.
How many leads per day was it? You mentioned leads.
2
per
to 3 hours.
2 to 3 hours.
2 to 3 hours a day of lead generation. So when you're doing that, and you're still falling short, pardon me, on the amount of lead follow-up you need to do, you can forgive yourself. If you're not spending the time, then you can't forgive yourself, right? You gotta, that's when you need to be real with yourself, that I'm not doing this job at a high enough level to be successful. I've not earned it, right? It's completely appropriate to think of success in real estate this way. Have I earned the right to be successful? Right? I still judge myself by that standard, right? And because my wife really likes me, she really wants our evening time and our weekend time to be for her. And so I don't give away my wife's time, right? I do not give away her time. So I have to be really purposeful with my work days in order to get all the things done that I have to. Which means when I get shot out of the cannon at 4 o'clock in the morning, I am out of control until I quit that day, right? And this is the only rest I'm getting today, right? This class that I'm teaching. The rest of the day is just an absolute shit show. And that's how you know you're doing it right, right? If you want to come up to my office and have a coffee before or after, please don't. I don't have time to visit with you, right? And it's not because I don't like you. It's because I'm working. I'm lead generating or I'm working on real estate. If you have time to mess around in the break room, then you are not doing this right. What you're trying to establish with all leads is that you want to earn something, right? Because our consumers, for better or for worse, what is the reputation of most real estate agents? If you're being honest.
Aggressive. Money
They're
hungry.
just doing it for the money.
Okay, yeah, money.
Part-timer?
That could be it, yeah. That might be a limiting belief, but yeah. What else?
Lack of communication, or it's a one and done, they never talk to them again after the transaction's done.
Okay, so no value to the relationship, no value provided.
Commission breath.
Okay, so all about the money. What else? Used cars and kind of what, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
used car sales.
Yeah. Yep, so, understanding what most of the general public thinks about what we do is imperative to having better conversations, right? Because you want to prove that you are different, right? You want to prove that you're different and that ultimately you're here to serve, right? Now, to take that a step further, when customers use language with me that would insinuate that I am not going to be earning something, I do correct that in a very subtle way, right? Like if a client says that I'll give you your commission, I will say, I promise I'm gonna earn every penny of what I would make on this transaction. Right, you actually won't be giving me anything. And, by the time we're done, you might even wanna give me a raise, that I've provided you with so much value. Right, I don't let things like that slide. Right, because I'm different. I'm here to make their life better. Right, their life is going to be better with me being in it. Right, and none of that is grounded in arrogance or anything. It's, I know that when I get in a relationship with somebody, that I am here to help them and make things better for them. Right, I inherently know that. Right, just like I know that every single person on this planet wants to look good and be right. Right? They want to, everybody has a sign around their neck and it says, make me feel important. Right? You have to make people feel important. Right? And if you're coming to work with the sole thought of, I'm here to help you, I'm here to serve you, then you will have a high probability of success. So I said from the day we sign our buyer agency contract,
You're
Oh,
assuming the
yeah,
same.
yeah.
Okay,
to see if you would object to that,
yeah.
right? That's a subtle, soft close, just to see what Paul's reaction is. Now, notice, when I completed that train of thought, by the time it takes 12 weeks, by the time, once we have the accepted offer, it takes 30 days to close.
Yeah.
We're at 4 or 5 months. I take a little heat off, cause I know I just probably, the realization of the timeline could definitely cause paralysis, right? If you're a person that struggles to make decisions, and I just laid out a timeline that's pretty quick, that could cause some analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Right, unless you felt totally safe with me. So I took a little heat off the fire and said something to the effect of, if that was your intention, and I'm not trying to push you, we'll move at the speed you wanna go at. But realistically, we would wanna meet, probably this week. Right, if that timeline meant something to you, we should be meeting this week. I didn't get to that part yet. But I would close now if you told me that, I'd probably even close for the appointment now. Right, if you're being legitimate with me, which if you already told me how much money you make, you're probably being legitimate with me. Unless you're embellishing and you don't actually make that much. Right? So a lot of times when people lead in with a lot of financial information, they're full of shit. Right? Like when people call me and they're like, I'm a cash buyer, I'm in town for 3 days, I'm gonna buy an $800,000 house. That's probably not legitimate.
It sounds too good to be true.
Well, it's,
Who does that?
who's leading in with that information, unless you're trying to, it's like anytime somebody leads in and brags about something that doesn't make sense to at that point, right? Just wouldn't even make sense to come to, lead in with something, people that are typically pretty well off, they're not embarrassed about it, but they're not gonna wear it like a poster, right? I promise you the person that pulls in the Ferrari isn't a millionaire, right? Unless they're an NBA player. Or a professional athlete. Most millionaires don't drive vehicles like that, right?
That's how they.
Most people that are
That's how you
leveraged to the hill
Right.
that's what they drive, right? Right? So understanding, read The Millionaire Next Door. It was written 25 years ago, but it is the greatest psychology book.
I'm reading it now.
Yeah.
Perfect. Millionaire Next Door. Especially in the greater Lansing area. right? That book is a snapshot of Midwestern wealth. If they're, so like, to go into the whole competition thing, like, I also don't believe in raising objections where there's not. If you're accepting my professional recommendation, then I'm probably not gonna, like, I'm not gonna continue to justify why he would call. If he's like, well, why would I call this person? Then I might unfold those, right? Unpack more reasons, but like, no different than, if I'm on a listing appointment and I say to the client, would you like me to sell your home for you? And they say yes, I'm gonna say great, and get out the listing contract. I'm not gonna say, are you sure? And then start bringing up objections that might cause them to not want to. Right, if that makes sense, right? So I think part of what we do is the art of just saying enough, right? Just saying enough to get the job done. We don't have to go further, right? So you accepted my professional recommendation. You said I can have my people reach out to you. If there's then questions at the consultation about why you should work with them, then I could go into what you said about the competition, right? But yes, great point. Those are all important. Now, so I've set the appointment for tomorrow, and you're gonna get pre-approved with a local lender, and essentially, we're gonna talk at the consultation and find out where you are with those lenders. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
But you're still gonna show up, even if I'm working with a buyer right now,
Yeah.
she just keeps on procrastinating. Are you still gonna meet with them if they haven't?
Yeah, but we're not gonna look at your houses.
Okay.
We're gonna meet, we're gonna sign buyer agency, but we're not gonna go look at any houses till we're pre-approved.
Okay.
But you gotta get them pre-approved first, otherwise you're.
Before we
spending
look at
years.
houses,
Yeah.
I'll still do the consultation while it's in progress, or while it's in progress. So,
Can I ask you, start to finish?
Yep.
Dart Bank, case credit, how long for pre-approval?
couple days.
Okay.
Yeah, couple days, depending on how quickly the buyer will get their information to them, to approve them, right?
Okay.
It's totally fine to give your clients, or the clients that wanna work with you, little tests too, to see how sincere they are. Right, like I got permission to send over the information, I'm gonna have Bill and Will reach out. I wanna see how urgent my buyer is, right? How committed they're likely gonna be to the process. Right, so it's okay to give somebody a job to do and see if they're gonna do it, right? So like, if I had a buyer that kept saying, oh, I'm gonna get pre-approved, but they hadn't, then I would say, well, help me understand, like, why you haven't, like, what's the person's name?
This one's Renee.
Renee, I know that you've been working on getting pre-approved for like 4 or 5 days now. It's been my experience that typically only takes like a day or two. So help me understand what's taking so long on the pre-approval.
Okay.
And let's say they say, well, I just been so busy at work. Okay. Remind me again, why are we moving? Right, and then you get their motivation again, and you reaffirm the motivation, and then you try to get them back on track.
So your hook was, are you open to considering one of my loan officers? What was that?
Yeah, would you be open-minded to a professional recommendation to my favorite loan officers?
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you be
Would you be open-minded?
open-minded? That's from the book.
Yeah,
For real estate.
exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you be open-minded
Would you be open-minded?
to a professional recommendation?
Professional recommendation, thank you.
So again, word choices, super important, right? Earn, open-minded, professional. Everything that I'm trying to represent is a professional experience, right? Want to be professional, want to be viewed as professional, want people to see value in me, want people to be attracted to my professionalism, right? And to feel like, ultimately, I want them to feel like their lives are better with having me in it. So, I gave you all a list of questions that you can ask as you're going through conversations. So why don't we just take a minute and go through some of them? So the question flow chart, this is a good one for just getting conversation going. So, Jake, I'm gonna use you on this one.
Already?
So, you clicked on a property off a Facebook ad,
Okay.
and you just say you answered the phone.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Ring, 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 ring.
Hello?
Jake, it's Brock Fletcher from Keller. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, Brock?
I'm doing good. Hey, you clicked on, a Facebook ad that I've got for a property I've got listed over on Yellowstone and Grand Ledge. Did you wanna set up a time to see that property?
Yeah, actually, the wife and I were looking at that last night, thinking it might be something that we're, possibly interested in.
Awesome, that's great. What drew you to click on that Facebook ad?
Honestly, just the looks of the house, I thought the landscaping was beautiful. We're definitely looking to upgrade the house here soon, and we see that that's got, 2 more bedrooms than ours currently, and, storage in the basement. So, just once we clicked, because of the cover photo, it just kept unfolding.
That's awesome. Now, Jake, I assume you're calling me direct, or you clicked on my ad because you're not working with another real estate agent, is that correct?
No, I'm not currently working with one right now, no.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, would you be open-minded to working with me?
Yeah, actually, I don't think I would mind that at all.
Oh, that's awesome. I intend to earn your business. Jake, do you currently own a home?
Yeah, we own one right now.
That's great, awesome. Now, do you know if you'll need to sell your current home in order to purchase the new home?
Yes, we're gonna end up selling our current home to, take some of the equity to put down on the next house.
Okay, cool. Now, normally, when somebody tells me that they need to sell their current home before they purchase the new one, they find it very beneficial if I come over and go through some comparables and help them understand exactly what they would realize from a successful transaction. Would that be helpful to you?
Absolutely, I definitely think it would.
Okay, so we'll pause right there. So, notice I was immediately able to set an appointment to basically come see your property.
Yeah, pretty much, yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yep. Now, how I did that works almost every time, right? Because like 90% plus of all people that own a home need to sell it before they buy the new home. And most buyers start looking before, right, they're truly 100% ready, right? And he's gonna want, I know unequivocally, you wanna know what you're gonna get from selling your property before you're gonna feel comfortable writing off on it. So my word choices are designed around that. Can anybody remember what I said or what questions I asked or anything once I found out he had to sell?
Most people find it very, very beneficial to have me come over and evaluate
Yes,
what I kind of lost.
yes,
The open-minded part too.
Yes.
Nobody's gonna say no to that. And
yes,
if they do, they're
Yeah.
different.
that's right, yeah. And you've already told me that you would be open-minded to working with me, so you haven't ruled it out.
Right.
So I know the rest of our conversation will dictate whether that will be true at the end of the conversation.
Could you finish that statement though, because I stopped writing, I couldn't remember exact words. Most people find it very beneficial.
Yeah,
To
yeah,
have me come over and,
yep, so something like this. So, just, we'll pick that. Do you need to sell your current home in order to purchase the new home?
Yes, we'll need to sell our house to buy our next one.
Okay, cool. Would it be, and this has been, most of my clients would have me come over and do this. Would it be beneficial to you if I was to come over, go through some comparable sales, look at your home, and then help you understand exactly what you would receive from a successful transaction?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that'd be very helpful.
Pretty much is gonna get an appointment every time
I like that.
that you deliver it like that, right? So at that point, I am transitioning from a buyer appointment to essentially a listing appointment, right? In terms of, I've given you some research in terms of questions, flow chart, pop quiz. When you get in contact with a lead, what information do you need in each silo to earn the right to set an appointment? Silo one,
Personal information.
yep, also known as their motivation. Yep, silo one, personal information, motivation, that gets filled first. What is the second silo? The criteria.
Information on the home.
What they're gonna move into,
Right.
right, what's that mean? The third silo,
Why hire me?
that's right.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Which doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna talk about yourself.
Right.
It's just you're gonna show the care and candor in order to earn the right to set an appointment. Okay. Now, we covered people that you're gonna call, that you know well, right? So that's family, friends, maybe, like Debbie, you've got some past clients, you've been in the business a while. You may have some past clients, right? But for the most part, what we're talking about here is not a huge depth of past clients in a database. It's mainly people that know and like you, that hopefully would like to see you do well in life. Right? That's for the most part what we're talking about, in terms of the people that you know that you're gonna lean on. So, when you're building a relationship with people that don't necessarily know you're in real estate, you will need to demonstrate to them that you should be the new choice for real estate agent for them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm getting at here is, most adult humans that have bought a home already think they have a real estate agent. And you are now in competition to eliminate that agent from being their agent, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Yeah. Paul, right?
Yeah.
So you're in competition to supplant the other agent. What do you think you need to demonstrate in order for that to happen? Like, what would move the needle?
Trust and credibility.
Yep, trust and credibility. That's the perfect answer, by the way.
Earlier on, last week was it Monday, I think. Brooks Warner had told us people do business with those who they know, like, and trust.
Yep. So the way you're gonna get the trust is by demonstrating that you are an expert in real estate, which is largely going to be done with, the economic information you're gonna share. That's really gonna be where it's at, right? It will take time. The alphabet method of communicating, right, 4 times a year. There's more to that. Brooks probably talked about it last week. Communicating enough times a year to take over their mind space, right? At least 36 times a year. So text messages, phone calls, emails. Once you have built up some cash reserves, maybe some direct mail, right? As you have the financial resources to do so. But for the most part, your competency is going to be proved through quarterly phone calls where you're sharing high-level economic information about real estate.